This is part 1 of me watching all of Dragon Ball Z. I just finished the first saga in DBZ, that being the Saiyan Saga. I can't lie, I thoroughly enjoyed this first part of Dragon Ball Z. It honestly feels like they're taking the original formula from the standard original Dragon Ball and just completely changing it and taking it to an insanely different level. While Dragon Ball was fun and also focused on more of an adventure of a young boy, the Saiyan Saga completely changes the tone for the entirety of the rest of the series. It takes our familiar world that we already have with the original Dragon Ball and expands on it and pushes it forward with the introduction of the Saiyans and all these other planets and powers and abilities. When we left off from the original Dragon Ball, Goku had just married Chi-Chi, and Piccolo had just been defeated. However, due to the circumstances with Radditz, Nappa, and Vegeta, everything kind of gets shut down. And both Goku and Piccolo must put their differences aside to just kind of save not only themselves but Earth. This saga is a great introduction into the sequel series. So now that you have a general understanding as to how this saga starts, let's go ahead and get into my thoughts and my overall feelings on this saga as a whole. Point blank, this saga is awesome. This is such a strong start to the show. It was honestly impossible for me to start this saga and not finish it. It was just so good. Obviously, me reviewing such an older show, I'm going to be spoiling and talking about certain plot points. So if you don't want to know anything at all, please click off here because I'm going to get into spoiling the shit out of this show, or at least this saga. Firstly, the show has the balls to kill off the main character in the first saga. That's just insane to me. Obviously, we know Goku's not going to die so fast. He's the main character. If he was going to die, it'd probably be more towards the end of DBZ or something like that, maybe. I just haven't seen the show that had the balls to do such a crazy thing so early. And that part alone had me going crazy. Secondly, the action in here might be a little bit smaller compared to something like Dragon Ball Super or a later DBZ, but when you compare it to the original Dragon Ball, the action in here just destroys anything the original Dragon Ball had to offer, which isn't to say that the original has no action, it's just this one's just so much more intense. Also, I do want to talk about how some people say Dragon Ball is only a fighting anime and there's no story or anything like that. Either you skip the original Dragon Ball or just aren't paying attention, because there's so much story going on, especially in this saga. We get tons of backstory on our characters, a lot of big major deaths happen here as well, so a bunch of plot points are developed here. But if you do miss or skip the original Dragon Ball show, you miss about 80% of Goku's overall character development. By the time we're in DBZ, he's a full-grown man now, so not to say full-grown men can't develop themselves further, but majority of his development has already passed. So I get it if you think Dragon Ball Z has no story or very little story, please go watch the original. It has a ton of it and you're missing out on honestly a bunch of development. Now this saga also does a good job at ending. It makes us super excited for the next saga, that being the Namek Saga, and it does an amazing job getting us hyped for the next step, because by the time we're done with the Saiyan Saga, we're already like, damn, like, this is crazy. What else can they do? They just went bananas right now, and now they're about to go even harder because they're leaving Earth to go to Namek, so that's just insane. I'll also say while the 3 villains aren't all amazing, their introduction in this saga is at the very least pretty decent. I wouldn't say at this point in the show any of them feel super iconic just yet. However, just with how much these villains do and destroy, it just makes them really impactful on the story overall, which makes them kind of impactful on the audience too, if that makes any sense. And I know in terms of the bigger world and where Dragon Ball Super goes and everything else, Nappa and Raditz are probably pretty low level characters, but in here they're actually pretty decent. Overall, this saga has some really solid action, some wild plot points, and insane storylines developed in this first saga. We have the big death of Goku, our main character, a ton of background story on the Saiyans and where Goku's originally from and his family and all that stuff, which we've never seen before, which is really cool to get now. Being that in the original show they kind of just passed him off as a weird kid with weird abilities and never went deeper than that, it's really cool to kind of get some closure and some explanation as to who Goku is. We obviously get a bunch of big character deaths here with Yamcha, Tien, Chatsu, and Krillin didn't die. Thankfully, Krillin has not died again, so I think killing off a good portion of the side characters and the roster is also pretty bold, just as much as killing Goku off. And in general, I'm just really surprised on how much happened in this first saga. I kind of get why people goat Dragon Ball Z now, just because it's really good. I will say I'm a little confused right now, so if you guys know the answer to this question or kind of how I'm feeling, don't spoil it in the comments for me, please. But it's kind of weird that Raditz is Goku's brother and he gets killed off immediately, or not immediately, but within the saga he's killed off. But a character like Vegeta, who has nothing to do with Goku's origins or backstory, I guess other than being a Saiyan, he maintains a role in the roster basically the whole show and is also pretty iconic as well. I just feel like Goku's brother should be pretty important to the story, being that that's his only real connection to his actual, home world and life that's blood related. So I don't know, why is Raditz killed so early? And try not to spoil it for me, please, but yeah. I'll also take a second to say here that coming from the original Dragon Ball anime to DBZ, you can really see how the animation, and not even that, but just the art style has just grown up and evolved since then. And so that's really cool. It genuinely looks really good, especially for the time. Now, I think this is also where a lot of the fan base splits apart. A lot of viewers like the original story, like the more adventure story versus the action-oriented story. I have to say, watching original and watching DBZ now, I think they're both equally good in different ways. I will say going to DBZ is really cool because even though in original Dragon Ball we did have stakes and especially towards the end, DBZ has stakes basically the whole time. The whole time the Earth is on some sort of ready to die schedule or something like that. So they're always working towards some big stakes here in DBZ, at least right now. While the original one definitely had a lot more downtime and time to just kind of hang out and go on adventures. While I do wish we got more Radditz before they put a fucking hole through him, I do like with what they're doing with Vegeta here and how they're kind of pinning a prince versus a low-level person, at least in the Saiyans world. It just really makes for an interesting dynamic between Goku and Vegeta versus who's more powerful, but then also who's kind of, you know, Vegeta's a prince and Goku's kind of a poor person, I guess. I'm just really interested to see how their dynamic changes along with the show. Also, I'll say here, the music has been noticeably really good also in the Saiyan Saga. It's starting to become more and more epic, so I'm assuming it's just going to get even more and more crazier as the fights get more and more crazier, so that's exciting. I also love the introduction to King Kai here. I thought he's honestly one of the funniest characters in the series. I love him. I hope we see more of him. I'm also glad that a weaker character like Krillin was able to stand his ground a little bit against the Saiyans and get some cool shots in between and not completely get his ass kicked, which was pretty cool. I'll also say I thought I was going to hate Gohan because I usually hate when animes give the main character a younger son, example number 1, but I surprisingly really liked Gohan. I really like the fact that his character is pretty deep and that he doesn't just want to be a fighter like his dad. He has goals, he wants to be a scholar, he wants to be himself, he wants to do his own thing that's different from his dad, and I admire that. They're trying to go in a different route with him and make him his own character versus kind of just Goku number 2. So Gohan was for sure a surprising addition I actually did enjoy a lot. And I also say the dynamic between Goku and Gohan was really, really well done. It didn't feel forced like example here, and it definitely felt like them two and Chi-Chi did have kind of like a family vibe, which I really enjoyed, and it seemed genuine. It just now occurred to me now because I was getting a lot of comments on my videos and TikToks here also. Plug. Follow my TikTok there. I post a bunch of stuff there. So when I was posting videos about Dragon Ball, a lot of people kept talking about, well, Gohan learned his Super Saiyan powers and all these stuff like that, right? And I always thought they were talking about Goku's grandpa, but now I understand that a lot of the people that were probably talking about Gohan were meaning his son and not the grandpa. So this is just some confusion there that I was experiencing when I first started making these videos. So like I said, go and follow my TikTok here if you haven't already. Subscribe here for more anime videos. I'm going to be posting a lot more Dragon Ball Z content, as well as just more content in general. I'm going to be posting hopefully a lot more often here too. And also stay tuned for more One Piece videos as I'm knocking those out also. But thanks for watching. I appreciate your time and have a good one.